Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I'm Darshan Usman. The headlines. Nigeria Supreme Court affirms election victories of Gombe, Nasarawa, Delta, Ogun governors. Non-aligned movement summit kicks off in Kampala, Uganda. South African government to stop controversial auction of 70 personal items belonging to Nelson Mandela. Details and more shortly. We begin the news at this hour in Nigeria, where the Supreme Court has affirmed the election of the governor of Ogun State, Dapo Abiodun. The appellants, Ladi Adebutu and the People's Democratic Party, prayed the Apex Court to compel the Independent National Electoral Commission to conduct fresh elections in the 99 polling units where elections were allegedly cancelled. The Appeal Court, Lagos Division, had in a split decision on November 24, 2023, affirmed Abiodun's re-election. The majority judgment delivered by Justice Joseph Ike dismissed the appeal filed by the PDP and its governorship candidate. Reading the lead judgment, Justice Tijani Abubakar dismissed the appeal. It was the same in Nasarawa State, where the Supreme Court also affirmed the election of the Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule. The State Election Petition Tribunal had sacked the governor and declared David Ombugadu, candidate of the People's Democratic Party, the winner of the March 18, 2023 election. But the appeal court reinstated Sule and held that the tribunal wrongly relied on the evidence of 8 of the PDP witnesses whose statements on oath were not front-loaded alongside the petition. Now, reading in the lead judgment, Justice Kudirat Kekereakun held that the appeal lacks merit. Let's also tell you that a demonstration broke out in Lafia, the capital of Nasarawa State, in response to the Supreme Court's verdict confirming Governor Abdullahi Sule's election victory. Supporters of the People's Democratic Party have obstructed the Lafia-Jos road by burning tires in front of the state secretariat, causing disruptions and prompting motorists to seek alternative routes. Security personnel are on site to maintain order and prevent any further escalation of tensions. The protest, we understand, has led to closure of numerous establishments, including shops, business centers, and schools in Lafia metropolis. The Supreme Court has also upheld judgments of the lower courts affirming the election of Governor Inuwa Yahaya of Gombe State. Jibrin Barde of the People's Democratic Party contested the outcome of the election. The Court of Appeal in Abuja had in November 2023 affirmed the election of Yahaya as the governor. The appellate court held that the petitioners failed to prove the allegations of non-qualification, perjury, and certificate forgery raised in the petition. The 5-member panel of the Supreme Court, led by Justice Kudirat Kekereakun, affirmed the concurrent judgment of the lower courts on the matter. She says she found nothing wrong with the judgment to warrant interference from the Apex Court. It was also the same verdict in Delta State, where the Supreme Court dismissed all 3 appeals to overturn Sheriff Oborevwori's election as governor of Delta State. The electoral umpire declared Oborevwori of the People's Democratic Party as the winner of the March 18 governorship election. But unsatisfied, the 3 parties headed to the court. While Oborevwori was victorious in the tribunal and at the appeal court, the parties pushed the matter to the Supreme Court. When the case came up to the Apex Court, it upheld the earlier judgments and upheld Oborevwori's win in the Delta governorship. The court first dismissed Ovie Omoagege's appeal, seeking to overturn Governor Oborevwori's election. In the meantime, reactions have continued to trail the Supreme Court's affirmation of the election victory of Governor Oborevwori. Various political groups of the PDP have started converging on various locations in Asaba to celebrate the governor's victory. News Central's Austin Azu reports that the governor is yet to arrive the state from Abuja, where the judgment was delivered.
If it didn't go like this, I would have been surprised. We know this is the Supreme Court has just affirmed the wish of Deltans. If you do that election 100 times, Sheriff will win the 100th time, because Deltans overwhelmingly voted for Sheriff Oborevwori as their governor. If you notice, the election was hijacked by the youth. The youth ran the process and made sure that they voted a governor that they could reach.
100% or 1,000%. We know that we must surely win them because they learn from us. If you don't learn from us, you must fail. So our father must be ready. So today we are very happy. We go down tired.
And we've not slept since the case started. We'll be praying and fasting for him to succeed. And we know that he's going to succeed. So it's not new. We'll be expecting this news that is going to come to reality. So we are so happy and we are proud. That's why we are all gathered here today to receive him. And also to thank God Almighty for the victory he gave to us.
We are so grateful to God for it. We are happy that he wins. And he will continue to win in Jesus' name.
Earlier, Fred Latimore Ogenesive, Executive Assistant on Communications and Orientation in Delta State, joined us for more on this.
God for seeing him through all the several court cases, from party primaries to election, post-election, up to today's victory. The governor just gave the victory to God. He who alleges must prove beyond reasonable doubt. And the onus of proof will always remain in the domain of the person that is alleging. And in that case, the APC, the Labour Party, the SDP, and their candidates were the one who alleged election malpractices after the election. And to that extent, they are the ones that will have to prove those allegations. And what happened at the tribunal level was that the tribunal did not see any substantial evidence to what they alleged. And so Governor Oborevwori won at the tribunal. Then they took the matter to Court of Appeal. It was the same thing. The Court of Appeal said their action lacking merit, that they don't have any case that is reasonable and tangible against Governor Oborevwori.
Away from court matters, members of the newly inaugurated Abia Global Economic Advisory Council have told Governor Alex Otti to be proactive and committed to the cause of developing the state. The council, which comprises eminent men and women of proven service delivery record and also integrity, supposedly has the capacity of telling truth to power, no matter how bitter. News Central's Chinwe Ugele has details.
Does the state need extra hands to move it forward when it already has commissioners, special advisors, and assistants who are also believed to be cerebral? The state government says it aims at tapping from the knowledge and capacity of the ladies and gentlemen to bring about positive and steady development to Abia State.
We are very excited by the knowledge that this team can achieve so much for the present and the future generation. Everyone here has been selected on the back of a stellar record of excellence in diverse fields relevant to the accomplishment of the task at hand. The mere fact of your presence or membership of this council has already sent a strong signal to interested observers that Abia is poised to become the next big thing.
Will the Abia Global Economic Advisory Council, with the likes of Dr. Aroma Ote, former Director General of the Nigeria Security Exchange Commission, former Emir of Kano Lamido Sanusi, and Bolaji Balogun as co-chairs of the council, be able to build the state into a self-sustaining economic hub as expected by the governor?
Our country is not an oil economy, and I know that Abia State does have oil. This is a country that has the ability to feed not only this nation, but a country that has the ability to feed the entire continent. And Abia State can be and will be a significant part of that.
Because money is a coward, it runs away, it needs the comfort, it needs to know it is secure. And so one of your greatest tasks, Alex, obviously, is to market the state, but also in your role as a member of the National Economic Council, is to make sure that we begin to pursue sensible policies that will make the macro environment attractive, so that those of you at the sub-national level do not carry that liability of bad policies in Abuja.
It's one thing to advise you, it's another to take the advice and implement it. You must give us your word today that the advice you will get from this fantastic team you're putting together, you will implement to the best of your ability.
The appointment of the 19 gentlemen and ladies by Governor Alex Oti has been described as an assemblage of eggheads drawn from various fields of endeavor, irrespective of their origins, in Omar Hefonio Central, Chinwe Ugili.
And now we move to security matters, where kidnappers on Thursday night stormed the Nigeria Post Army estate in Abuja, abducting 2 residents. The victims include the wife and one of the in-laws of one barrister, Cyril Adiku. According to neighbors of the victims, the incident occurred around 10 p.m. local time in the Phase 2 area of the estate. The neighbor, Austin John, recounted the harrowing experience, stating that the kidnappers entered the estate shooting sporadically and abducted the 2 while Adiku managed to escape. John described the traumatic events, stressing the fear among residents throughout the night, with security measures being taken by the estate's management and the subsequent arrival of army personnel. This is coming on the heels of rising cases of kidnapping incidents in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The Kaduna State Police Command on Friday handed over a notorious Abuja kidnapper, Philip Chinaza, to the Federal Capital Territory Police Command. According to the Kaduna Command's Police Public Relations Officer, ASP Mansur Hassan, Chinaza was arrested in Kaduna on Thursday when the police swooped on him and his gang members while they were taking a victim, Shagun Akinyemi, from Abuja to Kano State when the police swooped in on them. The FCT Police Command spokesperson, SP Josephine Ade, while confirming the arrest, said more details would be revealed soon. SP Ade said the suspect has been handed over to the FCT Police Command today, Friday, January 19, 2024, and he is currently in police custody. There was an exchange of gunfire on Thursday as police officers rescued the Abuja resident who was kidnapped just as he was driving out of his home. Former Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has been arraigned at the Federal High Court, Maitama, Abuja, on 20 counts bordering on alleged corrupt practices and forgery. The ex-CBN governor arrived at the court premises accompanied by his team of lawyers and a few aides. Emefiele was first arraigned by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on 6 counts of 1.2 billion naira procurement allegations. The EFCC, on the leave of the court, subsequently amended the charges pressed against Emefiele. When the amended 20 counts were read to him on Friday, the former CBN governor pleaded not guilty. News Central now returns right after the break. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, the World Health Organization says globally, around 2.3 billion people rely on polluting traditional fuels like wood and biomass for cooking, which estimates that the cooking sector contributes 3% to the annual global carbon emissions. News Central's Bettina Nweli has more.
Over 71% of Nigeria's population cooks with solid fuel on inefficient traditional cook stoves and open fires, resulting in serious indoor air pollution. Due to this, Nigeria records the highest number of indoor air pollution-related deaths, averaging 64,000 annually, especially among women and children in poor families.
Sometimes when you cook, you don't know that you already have a drop of kerosene in your food. And sometimes you get dried off. And sometimes the wool, the thread, is always a frustration.
If you did not change the middle of the stove, then the smoke will affect the pot. But the kerosene now is getting high. It's on the high side. So I know a lot of people are switching to gas more than kerosene.
The lack of clean cooking is a human rights issue. Women and children are particularly vulnerable, as in many cultures, they are responsible for cooking and related chores like gathering firewood. Most are poor and live in developing countries. Such cooking and heating produce high levels of indoor air pollution with a range of health-damaging pollutants, including small soot particles that penetrate deep into the lungs.
Of course, it can affect the lungs and the respiratory organs, causing problems such as COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, worsening things like asthma, and in fact also potentially increasing the risk of things like lung cancer. But it also impacts the brain.
More than half of man-made black carbon emissions worldwide come from household fuel combustion. The annual cost of inaction around clean cooking for a healthier gender climate and environment is estimated at $330 billion in sub-Saharan Africa. Fortunately, national and local governments in Africa are increasingly focused on creating enabling policies that promote the development of the clean cooking sector.
What can you do in this situation? So make sure that there's adequate ventilation, keep doors open, try and minimize the amount of time. So you plan well, so you minimize the amount of time that you're spending doing this cooking. If you can, wear a mask, in particular an N95 mask, because that can filter some of this particulate matter. Also clothing to cover your skin and hair.
Persistent use of firewood and charcoal for cooking is a big contributor to environmental hazards leading to loss of lives and livelihoods in Nigeria and in Africa. It is hoped that more action will be taken in order to prefer a solution to this menace. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nweli.
UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has urged the House of Lords to pass his flagship Rwanda bill as he warned peers not to frustrate the will of the people. Addressing a press conference after the legislation was approved by lawmakers, Sunak said it is now up to the Lords to do the right thing, but the Prime Minister declined to give a date for when flights carrying asylum seekers will take off to Rwanda. He only said he wants it to happen as quickly as possible. Now, the bill, which seeks to revive the government's plan to send some asylum seekers to the East African country, was passed by 320 to 276 votes in the House of Commons on Wednesday.
You can look at my actions. We had the Supreme Court ruling middle of November, and within a matter of weeks after that happened, we negotiated and signed a treaty with Rwanda and brought fresh legislation to Parliament that had its first vote as well and was supported, right? So that gives you a sense, I hope, of the urgency with which we are attacking this problem. I've been crystal clear that we want to do this as quickly as possible. You can see the urgency with which James and Michael and the team are operating, and it's now up to the House of Lords. Right. I think the country has been very clear that this is a priority. We've been very clear that this is a priority for us, and Parliament, the elected Parliament, has also, with a very strong majority last night, supported this legislation. I think it's incumbent now on the House of Lords to recognise that, to pass this legislation unamended as quickly as possible so that we can then start getting flights up and running. And what I would say is, we are not waiting for that moment.
Now, to discuss this, we're joined by Robert Mugabe, a political analyst and a criminal lawyer based in Kigali, Rwanda. Hello, Robert. Thank you so much for joining me on the news.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, Robert. Now, from a political standpoint, how do you think the UK-Rwanda asylum bill will impact the relationship between the UK and Rwanda?
Rwanda is initially a welcoming state. Since 2 years ago, we received some of the Africans who were stranded in Libya, and they have been in Rwanda when the Western countries trying to process their visas to go to the desired countries, and Rwanda has been doing that. Now, when it comes to this Rwanda-UK immigration policy, this policy has been all about trying to stop the dangerous journeys through the sea to UK for safety. And Rwanda has been branding itself as a safe place where these immigrants can come to as their visas are being processed, or if they want to resettle, they can settle in Rwanda. So that gives Rwanda a better deal, also a good cooperation with the UK, and the UK's government relationship with the Kigali government. It is tremendously going to be so powerful that in the context that there will be communicating on a daily basis, because Rwanda has not actually been able to tell the world, to tell UK how many refugees how many immigrants can they get, how many, what is the limit. So if you cannot set the limit, so
all right, Robert. Now, in analyzing the bill,
time you get refugees or immigrants, they will be.
Robert, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Now, in analyzing this bill, how does it address concerns already raised by the Rwandan government or its citizens about the potential impact on the country and the people? And what measures, if there are any, are in place to address these concerns?
I think these immigrants who are coming from UK, they are funded. The entire deal is funded. Like UK has given Rwanda something like $300,000 to Rwanda just to prepare for their arrival before even they come. And some time back, like yesterday, President Kagame was telling the BBC that...
Sorry, just to explain further, you talked about the funding and the amounts you mentioned. What is it actually for? Why are they, what is the amount actually for?
It's for residents, it's for the upkeep, it is also for their resettlement.
Okay. All right, do go ahead.
As they resettle in Rwanda, they need something to do. When they come to Rwanda, they need to resettle, they need something to do, they need opportunities, they need to have a life in a new country called Rwanda. And that's what this money is for. It's not for the government to use it on its other projects. No, it's strictly for this project where these immigrants will be coming to Kigali and they will be settled by the government. They will be protected by the government. They will be provided for everything until they can be able to have a business or to have a well-establishment in Rwanda.
All right, now, so talking about, the implementation of this Rwandan asylum bill, how could it affect the perception of the UK within Rwanda? And how do you think it will influence public opinion and the political discourse in the country?
Of course, so Rwanda, most of Rwandans have been refugees. Most of Rwandans have been refugees in other countries. They know how the suffering of these people, what they are running from, and they know that they need safety. They need a place they can call safe and a place they can call home where they can get opportunities. And that will put the government and the government of Rwanda and the government of UK into the direct contact, a constant contact where the people will be able to interact. I know it might, first of all, many times try to be as important as trying to have people get along and accept that these people actually belong to Rwanda and they are Rwandese. If they choose to be Rwandese, Rwandans have no problem of welcoming other people as long as they are law-abiding citizens. That's okay. And the political discourse, I don't think that the problem of politics and the dispensation will affect these people, because Rwandans have come to the point of not only uniting within themselves, but also with welcoming other people.
All right, quite interesting. Now let's take a look at this issue beyond the legal and political aspects, Robert. What socioeconomic consequences could the UK-Rwanda asylum bill have on the Rwandan people themselves? And how do you think it intersects with or it collides with existing challenges or opportunities within the nation?
I've lost it. Yes, thank you so much. Initially, can you hear me now? Initially, this bill, how it will impact the social fabric of the country is that they are going to receive other people from different nationals, from different areas, with a different language and culture. So they will have to learn the culture of Rwanda. They will have also to accept that even some of them are actually not Africans, some of them are Arabs, and I think from also many countries. So that means that maybe these people might, even some people from Nigeria, who knows what, even some from Cameroon, all these people have been trying to take this dangerous travels, this dangerous sea, crossing to UK, they'll be to Rwanda. And the Rwandans will need to accept them as Rwandans with the equal rights and the equal destiny. For these immigrants who are accepted to be Rwandans, to really establish and call Rwanda their home. So the society Rwandans, you know, Rwanda is a small country which speaks one language. That means that this country which speaks one language, Kinyarwanda, will have to adopt other people with different looks, with different traditions, but also be accepted as Rwandans. And I think it's going to create a sense of diversity in the country. Mm-hmm. So it will go beyond the three ethnic groups which has been in Rwanda. It is going to be now a diverse society. I know for the first time this is going to be kind of challenge, but because it is a humanitarian deal, I think Rwanda is going actually to be championing this project very well. But again, the issue is not the project. The issue is not the project and the money which comes with it. I think the issue is typically about humanitarian, that all these people who are running to UK, they can call.
All right, Robert, we sincerely hope that this project brings a positive impact to the people of Rwanda. Thank you so much, Robert Mugabe, for joining me and speaking to us on this issue.
Thank you very much.
Now we'll come back to more stories from East Africa in the course of the bulletin. Let's now take a look at some stories in Central Africa, where Chad's military intelligence service has arrested more than 80 people and foiled what it termed insurrectional operations threatening state security. The General Directorate of Military Intelligence on Friday said a well-organized group of individuals within the M3M movement tried to undermine the security of the state. The group members were arrested on January 12th, a day before they had the intention of carrying out insurrectional operations. However, the military gave no further details about the operations. It also says a decapitated head was found in a bag at the home of the president of M3M, a previously unknown group. Heads of state and government are meeting at the summit of the non-aligned movement in Kampala as the East African country takes over the leadership of this international organization of 120 states. The movement has its origins in the Brioni Declaration of 1956 at the height of the Cold War, when a number of nations chose to remain neutral in the face of the two great powers of the day, that's the USSR and the United States. Uganda's president and incoming chair of the organization, Yoweri Museveni, said the ongoing unilateralism in the global governance system is not acceptable. Let's also tell you that the long-awaited trial of a child soldier turned commander in the notorious Lord's Resistance Army has begun in Uganda. Thomas Koyelo faces more than 90 charges, including murder, rape, and the recruitment of child soldiers. He becomes the first LRA commander to be tried by the Ugandan court, marking a watershed moment for the country's judicial system. During a court appearance in 2011, he has actually spent the last 14 years in pre-trial detention, which analysts partly attribute to the scale and complexity of the alleged crimes. The LRA was notorious for chopping off people's limbs and abducting children to use as soldiers and sex slaves. The United States has urged Comoros to clarify the results of the disputed presidential elections, which have been followed by deadly protests. President Azali Assoumani won re-election with 62.97% on Sunday in what opposition leaders have denounced as the fraudulent vote. The U.S. Embassy in Comoros says the results announced by the electoral umpire raised serious concerns that must be addressed to maintain the peace and the well-being of the nation. Assoumani's victory is expected to be confirmed by the Supreme Court at the weekend, but the opposition has demanded the election be declared void, pointing out that the unexpectedly low 16% turnout figure in the presidential vote falls far short of the figure for parallel governor polls. Staying in East Africa, the Kenyan Court of Appeal has given the go-ahead for a controversial healthcare insurance levy, overturning a previous ban. The Social Health Insurance Fund, one of President William Ruto's key policies, seeks to provide affordable healthcare to all Kenyans. But it has proved unpopular with many who see it as a new tax. Critics say the levy will aggravate the cost of living crisis, which fueled a wave of protests last year. The rollout of the scheme was stopped by the High Court last November following a petition by businessman Joseph Enoch Ora challenging sections of the scheme. News Central now will return after the break. Do stay. Thank you for staying with us. Now, the South African government is trying to stop a controversial auction of 70 personal items belonging to anti-apartheid hero Nelson Mandela. Now, they include a set of hearing aids, an ID card, gifts from world leaders, and some of the first democratic president's clothing, such as his statement Madiba shirts. His eldest daughter, Makaziwe Mandela, is auctioning the items in the U.S., but the South African government says the items belong to the nation. Under the country's law, items considered to be of national heritage cannot be taken out of South Africa. The South African Heritage Resources Agency, a government body charged with protecting the country's history and culture, says it has filed an appeal to block the sale. The World Health Organization recently released a devastating report shedding light on South Africa's alarming high rate of suicide cases. South Africa has been identified as having one of the highest suicide rates in the world. To delve into this deepening crisis and explore the impact on families with the aim of raising awareness, News Central's Bongani Siziba sat down with two courageous individuals who have battled their own share and gives us this report.
At 27, he wanted to kill himself, but now he wants to help others learn how to get through life when things look bleak. Struggling and battling the weight of life, Lindokuhle Mbata's D-Day for 2024 was January the 2nd. Consumed by his fear of continuing to live, he sent a heartbreaking message on his Facebook page, alarming his followers about his intentions to end his own life. He had already purchased a rope beforehand, fully intending to carry out his devastating plans in the privacy of his home in Tembisa, east of Johannesburg. However, he stopped one step away.
So when I woke up in the morning, I saw myself as a failure. Even though I know I try, but I feel like some people don't even see this. Sometimes I do need support, but I don't know who to ask. So I felt like I'm useless, I'm pointless, I got nothing to do in this world. And really, I felt like I was born for struggle because I'm coming from the struggle. When you're feeling depressed and when you're feeling like you have an emotional breakdown, you don't think straight. You feel like now is the end. You don't think about anyone. I don't know how to explain it, but it's really scary.
Lindokuhle says his past experiences contributed to his suicidal thoughts, and in the grip of his breakdown, he saw no hope and no future.
So I was feeling guilty, I was feeling lonely. The only thing I was thinking about was to kill myself. Yes, because I thought killing myself will bring peace into my life. This was on my mind by the time. Apparently it's the second time I'm trying to do this thing. I tried to do it once in Pretoria. What I did that day, I just overdosed pills. Also, it didn't work. Instead, I was sick. And I was ashamed about it. I didn't tell anyone. I only told my auntie. After like a few weeks, it happened.
The South African Society of Psychiatrists reports that suicide is a prominent cause of death worldwide, with a higher incidence among males than women. Additionally, men in South Africa had higher suicide rates globally. Among the 700,000 plus people who die every year, the suicide rate for men is 12.6 per 100,000, which is much higher than the rate of women of 5.4 per 100,000. Lindokuhle is not the only one who has attempted to take his life. Nomfundo Kulu also has a story to tell. I sat down with her at her house in Bryanston, north of Johannesburg, and she narrated the circumstances that almost ended her life.
What triggered mine was finding out that my then husband was lying to me about children. And I tried to commit suicide because we were just newly married, and yeah, I was so hurt. I was so distraught. Got into the bathroom, took pills, and just slept there, hoping that it's not real kind of thing. It was the first time. But I made it out. I went to hospital, Rosebank Clinic. I was there for a couple of days. And then the second time, was it after I lost my dad? I don't know what triggered me the second time, but I slit my wrists. And my son had to get me out of the bath. I think I was just tired of life. I was tired of the mistruths that are happening. I was tired. You know the thing, I was still a journalist, running around, traveling a lot, raising my son alone. And yeah, I was exhausted. And I thought the way out, I mean, my son comes from a well-off family, they'll take care of him, so things will be fine. Yeah, I cut my wrist. I tried this one, it didn't work, and I tried this one. I thought it worked, and he picked me out from the bath. Sorry.
Listening to her story reminds one that the challenges that people encounter can have a significant impact on their mental health, prompting people like Nomfundo to consider severe measures. Suicide, according to mental health specialists, is a complicated phenomenon caused by a collection of causes rather than a single one.
Well, so when we visit our communities and we've been doing school talks, we've noticed amongst the learners that there are a variety of issues that they're going through, from abuse to bullying to trauma from crimes and severe depression from the situations that they are in. So there's a lot of psychosocial issues that people go through. And if they leave it untreated in most cases, then it does prolong into suicidal ideation and thoughts.
Across the country, there are indicators of a mental health crisis among young people, and according to the Department of Education, in 2023 alone, about 40 students from Gauteng schools reportedly killed themselves. Lindogohle and Nomfundo's tales are just two of millions affected by the silent conflict that individuals confront on a daily basis. Health experts say it is critical to highlight these challenges, raise mental health awareness, and urge people to seek treatment. The most valuable lesson both of them want to pass down is that life will throw you curveballs as it did to them and continues to do, but you can survive and thrive.
Depression is not a once-off thing. It comes and goes. There are good days, there are bad days. So you need to have words of affirmation for yourself. I started buying a lot of books that talk to self-healing. I read my Bible. I speak to positive people.
I'll never do such a thing. This will make me a failure. And I'm not a failure. I was born to win, so I'll never do that. I'll never.
Although national statistics on suicide is not available, there are other troubling factors. South Africa's Depression and Anxiety Association reports an increase in mental health-related emergencies in 2023 compared to previous years. Meanwhile, accurate statistics on suicide in Africa are difficult to get due to underreporting, stigma, and poor data collection. Current data, however, indicates that suicide rate is rising across several countries in Africa. In Johannesburg, for News Central, I am Wongani Siziba.
Now in business, Kenya Power seeks electric motorcycles and vehicles to transition to clean energy. In the first phase of this initiative, the state-owned power company aims to procure 28 electric motorcycles and vehicles from electric mobility suppliers. This follows a previous notice in April where Kenya Power sought bidders to supply them with electric trucks, utility vehicles and motorcycles, signaling its commitment to a clean energy-powered fleet. The current tender invites bidders to supply 25 electric motorcycles and 3 double-cabin vehicles to the Ruaraka Depot Transport Division. Kenya Power aims to achieve a fully electric fleet by 2027 through a combination of purchasing new electric units and retrofitting existing diesel vehicles and motorcycles. Now, while private investors have been leading the electric mobility transition in Kenya, Kenya Power's move sets it ahead of other state entities in embracing this shift. Now talking sports, Nigerian fans in Cote d'Ivoire have reacted to the face. That's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at our top stories. We told you that Nigeria's Supreme Court has affirmed election victories of Gombe, Nasarawa, Delta, and Ogun State governors. We also told you that non-aligned movement summit has kicked off in Kampala, Uganda. And finally, you heard that South African government to stop controversial auction of 70 personal items belonging to Nelson Mandela. Send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number showing on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.